Hey, so this is Jessica with Early Endeavors, and I am a peaceful parenting coach who specializes more in that imperfect and real side of peaceful parenting versus the idea that peaceful parenting means perfect or harmonious all the time parenting. And you can find me over at earlyendeavors.com and right here. And today I wanted to talk about what to do when your kids are having a hard time listening, which means is less about listening like hearing and more about when you've had to repeat yourself a million times and they're not doing what you've asked or blatantly saying no. When you need to get them on board or when there is a conflict, this strategy works really well for all of those things. Basically, when your kids are having really big feelings or emotions about something, and what those emotions actually present as is usually like a misbehavior or not listening or defiance, and what those feelings are really telling us is what the child is needing. Okay, so we're going to talk about this strategy and how this can meet those needs for the child so that those feelings don't stay misbehavior, right? And it basically turns your whole situation around. That whole interaction changes when we approach it like this. And so this technique is called Flip It. If you've heard of that before, then and you're familiar with it. If not, then the flip part is an acronym. So FLIP, and flip it is like flipping the interaction, right? You're changing the way that you're communicating with your child so that you can help them get those needs met and move beyond that behavior. Okay? So flip it, the F is for feelings. The first thing you want to do, and it can be hard to do 100% of the time, you're never going to do it 100% of the time, is to acknowledge the feelings that your child is having. You can guess. You don't have to know. Usually kids are wearing their feelings on their sleeves, especially during episodes of behavior that we find challenging. So you might say something like, I see that you are angry, right? Or I see that this is really frustrating for you and you're feeling frustrated. You might, you want them to feel seen and heard, not just try to correct the behavior first, if that makes sense. You're going to get a partner in this kind of problem solving strategy if you see and hear your child first versus just trying to correct the behavior. So gently talking with him about his feelings and trying to get to those root feelings that are under the behavior. So I see that you're really angry. You don't like it when your friend knocks your block tower down, or you didn't like it when your brother took your bike. You were gonna ride that and it made you really frustrated, or you're feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes you won't get a response. Sometimes your child will say, yeah. And this is a good strategy, I should say, for I would start using it from that time when kids are starting more interactive play rather than parallel play. So even like a 1-year-old can understand the language of feelings and the needs that are underneath them. So I would start Flip It at 1 and modify it a little bit. So we'll get to that. So F is for feelings. Acknowledge their feelings first. Approach the situation thinking to yourself like, okay, this is a feeling that they're having. This is the way they're expressing that feeling. However, and this is the L is for limits. Okay, so part of peaceful parenting is that we are respectful, but we're not to the point of indulgence or permissiveness. I want to make that really clear. So kids need a figure who is an authoritative figure to them who helps to guide them because they're young and inexperienced, right? So it is up to us to set the limits, and we can do this in a way that is non-punitive. So you're going to set the limits. You're going to say, I see that you're angry. However, we don't hit, right? I can't let you hit him. It's setting that loving but simple limits, right? You want to go with limits that kids really understand, that are going to be easy, and you don't want to have like 500 different rules for 500 different situations. Okay, like we don't hurt people, so that covers biting, hitting, throwing, kicking, whatever it may be. We don't hurt people, so that's like a limit that you have. And then so you're gonna say, I see or I hear your feelings, you're seen and you're heard, but I can't let you, whatever that limit was, right? Okay. And then you're gonna ask them to help you come up with a solution. All right. And this is really important, especially in that like 2+ age range. And this will keep working throughout. Like once they hit like that problem solving where they're starting to problem solve and you're going to help them with that, at like 2, it can keep going. I use Flip It with my 10, my teen, my 4-year-old. So this is one of those strategies that is just universal. Because you could really even use it with adults. It might be really important. So you're going to make an inquiry. So that's the I. So far, F is feelings, L is limits, and I is inquiry. Okay, so say your child hit your other child and now they're injured and they're crying. And say, what are we gonna do? Like, how can we fix this? Is basically you want to show your kids that things are fixable, and to remember for yourself that fixing it isn't no, it's not an eye for an eye, right? That doesn't fix anything. So if you say, I can't let you hit your brother, so go to your room. He hasn't helped to solve the problem. So you're going to invite your child via inquiry to solve the problem. So you can solve the problem, like they might say, you can say, you don't like it when your brother knocks your block tower over. What can you do instead? Or you're wanting to solve that immediate problem of now your brother hurts. How are you going to fix that? How are we going to make this better? And if you have a kid who's drawing a blank, like either a really young child or just a child who's like, I don't know how to solve this. You can, and this is the P, give them prompts. So you're going to give them some creative, different ideas. And the more that you can present this as an opportunity instead of a punishment, the better. So you're going to say something like, now your brother's upset. How are we going to help him? What are we going to do? And if your child draws a blank, you can say, well, if you were hurt, what would you want me to do? Right? That's a prompt. And your child might say, well, I like it when you put an ice pack on it, like a boo-boo pack or whatever. Okay, can you go get that for him? Right? And now you've made this an opportunity. You've created an opportunity out of conflict, which is really important. You're never going to be conflict free, so these strategies are really, really important. So let's go ahead and recap. F is for feelings. Always start by acknowledging their feelings. You're not really going to get anywhere with kids if you focus on the behavior first. The behavior is just a symptom that you're trying to figure out where to go from there, right? It's just an indicator. I like that word, an indicator of what's really going on. So we want to talk about the feelings first and then talk about our limits, right? And these are rules that your kids are already familiar with, and they just need help, right? They just need some guidance because they're young and their brains are still developing. So that is why kids act out as often as they do, is because that impulse control is just not there. It's just not there yet. It's going to be developed, and you're going to be part of helping that to develop, right? You're going to be, if you can calm your own reactions, you're teaching your children to do the same thing. So feelings first, then talk about your limits, then make an inquiry. Like, how are we going to solve this problem? And that's it's an invitation to your child to be a part of the solution, and it's very powerful that way. And then if they have a hard time, you can give them creative ideas. So that's the P, prompts, and that is flip it. So go out, use that, and enjoy it. Let me know how it works, and let me know if I can help you with anything, and I will talk to you later.